All right, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you guys are all staying safe and sane during the pandemic and during the shelter in place restrictions and everything like that. I'm really excited and really kind of thrilled for tonight's Q&A interview. I want to start off by letting you know that I am slightly biased because in my excitement because Cuddles on Call, which is April's pet sitting and dog walking business, I do want to let you guys know ahead of time that her business is the business that I use for Olive and Theo. So I am really excited to be sharing kind of her business with the world, with all of you guys out there on Facebook land. So before we get started, just a reminder that these are questions that were kind of emailed to me, sent over ahead of time by you guys, either, All Dogs Allowed people or, clients of April's or things like that. But while we are live and doing this live broadcast, if you guys have any additional questions, I can see them in my chat box on the other window on my computer. So feel free to ask away. I will pause periodically and just check in and see if there are any questions, comments, or anything like that. So just a reminder as we get rocking and rolling. But let's go ahead and get started. So, hey, April, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing well.
My
Try,
dog's here.
you know, staying sane through all of this.
Yeah,
Very
it's been
exciting time.
insane.
So,
Not normal times for us, but yeah,
oh
at
yeah,
least we're able to
definitely.
just stay home and stay safe. And
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, definitely. So, what I was thinking we could do first, of course, is just like let everybody know about you, kind of who you are, what your business is, how you got started in this business, why you got started in this business, just for anybody who doesn't know you yet.
yeah. Okay. So I'm April. I own Cuddles on Call Pet Sitting. We provide pet sitting, dog walking, pet taxi service, overnight service, and a lot of people are kind of like, "What is pet sitting? What is dog walking?" We can get into that a little bit more later, but it's in your home. So you would not bring the animals to us. We would come to you and do visits in your home of the various types. Um, so I have not always worked in pet care. I actually used to work in accounting, which is forever ago, a different life,
Yeah,
um,
very different life.
very different life. Not as joyous as this life. But yeah, then, I'm actually from this area. I'm from Hillsborough, which is pretty close by. Then I went to school in Durham and then Chapel Hill and then moved here. But I've been in Raleigh, I think, almost 15 years now. So I really love this area. So when I was working in accounting, it was around the time of the economy crash. And I lost my job, just like a lot of people have now. I got laid off. And a lot of my friends and family, said, this is a really good time to just like change it up, do something different. I was working in accounting because it paid the bills, and just because you can do something doesn't always mean you should. And I was in a very fortunate place at the time that I could pursue something totally different. And one of my really good friends had mentioned that her boss used a pet sitting service. Now, this was back in 2011, and I had never even heard of pet sitting. I knew that people did this for their friends and their family, but I had no idea that this was something you could make a living doing.
Right, like a
um,
professional
yeah,
service versus
yeah,
just the neighborhood kid stopping by, right?
yeah. And I was just thrilled. I was like, well, wait a minute, I've never even heard of this. This sounds amazing. I knew I wanted to work with pets. That was always my dream. I had dabbled with going to vet school. I even volunteered at a few vets throughout high school, but I'm pretty queasy. And I don't do well with blood. And I almost fainted a few times during surgery. And I was like,
You're like, this isn't
maybe
for me.
I can't do this part of it. But, so I had sort of written off being able to work with animals. I volunteered in shelters, but I knew it would be hard to make a living doing that too. It's tough. It's tough. So Um, when I sort of heard of this opportunity, it was a good time in my life to make a change. And so I just kind of went for it. It was scary and exciting. And like I said, it was 2011 and kind of here we are 9 years later. When I just started, it was me, and it was probably just me for about 2 years, just kind of doing pet sitting and building my business and meeting new clients and new pets. And I was really fortunate to have a social support system that really believed in me. And, really were big cheerleaders. I think, sometimes, you hear your friends starting a business and you're like, oh. I don't know if that's right for them, but like all of my friends were so supportive. They're like, this is perfect for you, April. I think you
That's
are going to love this. This
awesome.
is this is it. And so
Yeah. And
they were telling, yeah,
I don't think people understand, like as a business owner myself, how crucial that can be
yeah,
to have people in your friends and family circles that are supportive versus
absolutely.
saying like, "Oh, that's dumb. You're never going to
Yeah.
make it." You're yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's so
I was
crucial.
so lucky. Yeah, no, all of my friends were like, "This is a great idea. I think you're perfect for this." And I had never worked in a field that I just was like so excited about. I remember when I started my business, I went from the idea to it happening, like website marketing materials, like insurance, all
It
in
became
a month.
real.
1 month. I did,
Mhm.
I did it so fast. I built my
Right.
own website. I went from 0 to 60 in 1 month, and a lot of sleepless nights. I was so excited. And yeah, just lots of friend telling friends, and then once I tried to do some networking on my own, which was also successful. But a lot of the beginning was just people believing in me, and then when you do a good job, those people believe in you too, and they tell their friends. And so, I mean, in the 9 years I've been doing this, I've done very little like paid marketing. It's all just been word of mouth, which has been amazing because
Yeah, that's paramount for a
yeah.
business.
It's just been amazing because people are finding us, and they are like excited about us from the start, which is a really good way to start a relationship. They're like, we want you, and I love that. So yeah, that's kind of how we got from from the beginning to now. But yeah, I love what I do. We have 15 sitters now, and that's a lot. It's been super
Yeah,
exciting. And
that's amazing.
yeah, we cover kind of the whole triangle. I would say, not Chapel Hill, Durham, but if you think of the Raleigh 550 corridor, that's kind of our service area. Even maybe the future part, kind of down through Holly Springs. And yeah, I've got a lot of passionate people working with me too. Some admin
Oh
staff.
yeah.
It's been great. So
Now that's
yeah.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And I'm excited to kind of dissect, like all those aspects of your business and like how you grew to be, the business you are today and what you offer for people. And I'm just excited. So just want to see here, continuing on kind of, we're getting started with the questions,
Yeah.
rather. So, for anyone who doesn't know, could you share kind of the basic job description of like what a pet sitter or dog walker is? Kind of your everyday to do list?
Yeah. So we have two primary services that we do. Midday dog walks, which is really for people who are at work just and can't get home to let the dog out or give them a good walk. We also have plenty of people that work from home, and they're just super super busy, and they're in conference calls all day. I remember several clients that I worked with personally that I could always hear them on the calls, and they didn't even know I'd come. I mean, I just sort of slipped in, took the dog for a walk, came back, gave him kisses and treats, and mom was never the wiser. But she didn't have to worry about walking the dog,
Right.
taking
You're like
some
this
time
little
and,
ghost that
and
just swooped in and made everything
the
better.
guilt. Yes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I always tried to have personal relationships with my clients. But yeah, no, we work with people who work from home. We have some clients who are older and just really maybe their dogs are high energy, and they maybe aren't able to give them the kind of exercise that they would need. But yeah, primarily midday, but we offer all kinds of hours. Some people work crazy schedules, so anytime from we can get there. Some people have puppies, so we do 2 or 3 visits a day for even the midday dog walks. They need, maybe they can't hold it, full 4 hours if you break it in the middle. A lot of young puppies can't. So this is really just us coming by and primarily walking the dog. We will feed them if you want, but most of the time it's just walking and really trying to get that exercise out. We do ask clients, what are your goals for what you want this walk to be. Some people have geriatric animals, and if we're trying to really like go a mile in that short period of time or 2 miles, it's not happening. It's not, and it's not helpful.
Right.
And for puppies also, you really wouldn't want to like go that far. You're kind of dragging them, right? Or and some people just would rather let their dog kind of take it easy and sniff, and we will cater to whatever the client wants out of that, whatever the dog wants
That's
out of
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
So that's one part of the business. Usually clients are in town for that. They're just at work. And then we have our pet sitting service. And this is for people who are out of town. They need someone to come by and watch the dog X number of times per day. And that could range from 2 to 5, 6. We have some that do lots of visits, if their animals are old or puppies, things like that. So we're just kind of dropping in. Typically it's a 30-minute visit, but we offer longer, 45 an hour. And we're taking care of the more the household stuff too. So we're feeding, scooping litter, taking a walk. We always do a walk at pretty much every pet sitting visit, unless, like at nighttime, they don't want to walk in the dark or the dog doesn't want to be out there. Sometimes they get
Right.
spooked.
It's just like a potty break and
Yeah,
love and
just kind of a
attention.
shorter potty break. But yeah, we will also get the mail. We'll rotate the lights, make it look like someone's there. Water the plants, feed the fish if you have a fish. It's kind of a
Right.
more full service. We'll take the trash down to the curb, bring it back, just like if you were there.
So
So
like house watching in addition to the pet sitting and things like
absolutely.
that.
But we also, and this is something I haven't mentioned, we also actually just offer a house sitting service. Some people who took their pets with them still want the mail taken in. They want their packages brought in. So it's not clear that they're not home.
Yeah,
And,
that's awesome.
a risk for maybe a break-in or something. So, yeah, but our pet sitting does include all the house sitting duties that, you might be doing if you were there. But yeah, did that answer your question or was there more?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's it's something that I'm very knowledgeable in, I feel like, but I just wanted to make sure that like we covered that for people who might not
Yeah,
fully understand the parameters of like pet sitting or dog walking
right.
versus like other services that are
Yes.
out there. And so
Yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, I think that of course covers kind of everything before we get into the other questions.
Well, I did forget one thing. So we do overnight care. And
Oh
this
yeah,
is
that's
where
right.
the owner would sleep in the home with the pets. So our overnight service is from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. A lot of clients do, well, you have to do at least one other visit because we can't let them go that long. But a lot of clients will do multiple other visits to come and feed and walk and all that. But this is kind of just for animals who maybe have some separation anxiety, or maybe they just get scared at night if their owners aren't there. It's just kind of an extra level of kind of there with the animals. And really, we sleep there with them. We let them sleep in the bed with us. We encourage that. So my sitters are all animal lovers and they are there for the animals. So yeah. Mm.
That's fantastic. I know that I am I am that person that would be like, okay, I want the overnight care
Oh
as
yeah.
well because I just my dogs sleep. I mean, Theo sleeps inside of my legs. I mean, every night he wants to sleep inside of my legs. He wants to be under the blanket and touching me in some way. And so I know he would appreciate somebody sleeping at the
Yeah.
house. And so that's awesome that you guys have that
I
bonus
call
kind
that
of
a
service
barnacle
there.
dog. It's like
Yep.
it's like it needs to touch you
Yep.
in some way. Super
Oh
cute.
yeah, that's him. So I know that that's something. I haven't used you guys since we've gone out of town because really the only time we went out of town was for like Christmas and we took them with us up to Maine. But I do know I use you guys for dog walking and it's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Um, so for the questions, so kind of I guess the first question that I have is, what are the benefits of using a pet sitter or a dog walker versus a traditional boarding kennel? Kind of like,
Yeah.
what are the benefits and how is what you offer different than a traditional boarding kennel?
Right. So it's super different. And one of the reasons that I was interested in this also is I had a dog that could not be boarded, and there are many that can't, or even if they could, maybe they don't want to be. I've heard of people whose dogs came back traumatized from the kennel. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen for every dog. Every dog is different. And there's a reason there is multiple services out there, multiple ways to
Right.
find care
Cover
for
all
the
those
pet. Yeah.
personalities. Hmm.
So to me, it's not better or worse. It's just different. And for some pets, we are a much better fit. And so I would say with kennels, they can be noisy. There's a lot of barking. They can be a little bit more impersonal. They don't get a lot of human interaction. And depending on the kennel, maybe not any other dog interaction or just interaction. Period. They're just kind of in that run. Um, Almost 24/7, except for the potty breaks and the feeding. There are other types of kennels where there's like doggy daycare and they're playing with dogs. And for some people, I would recommend that. If you have a dog that is just like super dog friendly, if you leave them at the house, they're going to destroy everything or like hurt themselves in a crate if you try to crate them. Maybe that's a better fit. They're going to be able to get some energy out more than just a 30-minute walk would provide. They're going to get that dog on dog interaction. Maybe they won't get as much human interaction, but they'll have dog interaction. And that can be a good fit for them. I will say with a disclaimer, dogs get hurt at kennels a lot of times. They get too rough. And so your dog may come home with an injury or another illness that it picked up from dog, just like daycare, like human daycare. They pick up things when they're around lots of other dogs. So they might come home with an illness. So I would primarily say we can be good for almost any dog, but maybe not dogs that are destructive when left alone. Because, we're not there 24/7. We're going to be there for, however long the visit is, X number of times a day. So if your dog can't handle being alone for, I would say 3 to 4 hours, we may not be a good fit. If your dog would just go crazy, without some sort of like dog interaction or something, maybe we're not a good fit. But I would say for most people, I think we're a great fit because there's a lot of personal interaction. Your sitter is focusing on your dogs only, your dog or dogs only. There are no other dogs present. It is just one-on-one interaction.
Right. It's not like group dog walking. The sitter
Right.
and the
This
walker
is
are
just
there.
us and your dogs. You have 100% of our attention when we are there. Um, you're going to get longer walks. A lot of times at a kennel, they have to do short, just let out, go potty because they're just kind of going through dogs. They got to get everybody out to go potty. With us, we're taking the dog for a walk. We're paying attention to your dog and their needs. We're not kind of hustling through to the next dog. We can play with them. These things are all included. I know at a lot of kennels you have to pay extra for like playing or Kongs, or this is all included. We don't charge for any of that. We'll give a peanut butterville Kong or just like sit and play with them and cuddle them and love them. So there's a lot of individual attention. They're not going to get sick, so that's great. And there's highly unlikely that they would be injured unless they injured themselves at the house when we weren't there. You know, it's different for different dogs. If your dog doesn't like other dogs, we are absolutely the perfect fit. There will be no other dogs present. If we go on walks, we absolutely do not interact with other dogs. Even if your dog is the most dog friendly dog in the world, we don't do it just because we don't know that dog. And even if your dog is the most dog friendly dog, we don't know how your dog's going to feel about that dog.
Right.
And
And
some
your
dogs,
responsibility is to keep
yeah,
that dog happy,
yeah.
healthy. Right.
Absolutely. We take it very seriously. So, I think for a lot of people who have multiple dogs too, we are a more economical option, because if you have 3 dogs, when you're kenneling, you are paying per dog. With us, the increased fee per dog is super minimal. I think it's $2 more per dog per visit. So if you have 3 dogs, it's going to be so much cheaper. Um, so I
Well, in
mean,
some
that's
boarding
another thing.
kennels, they require you to have the dogs separated. They don't board
Yeah.
them in the same kennel
Yes.
together, the same run
Right.
together. So you're looking at the price per kennel,
Yeah.
basically, versus a
And your
price per
dogs, maybe
visit.
they want to be together. Another thing to think about is if you have any other pets in addition to your dogs, like cats or birds, or now you have to have 2 separate caregivers. You have to take your dogs to the kennel, and you have to have someone come and watch your cats and birds and bunnies anyway. So with us, we can care for all the animals in the home at one time. It's just the same, the flat fee, and the upcharge per pet is super minimal. It's $1 more per cat or small animal, and then $2 more per dog. So it's super minimal. We're already there, you know.
Right.
The other thing I would say is with kennels, if you come to pick up on Sunday and you can't get there by the short, like 4 to 6 window, you have to board that dog for another day. And, while
I've
that's
run
also
into that.
costly, it's super annoying because you just want to like hug your dog. You're like, I've been gone for a week and I just miss my dog so much. And now you just kind of come back to this empty house. So with us, the dog's there. You walk in, he's happy to see you. Although I love when I hear from clients that they're like, they were disappointed because they were expecting you. That's not
Oh,
fair.
that's wonderful.
I mean, I'm sorry, but also it tickles my heart. So
Well, yeah, because
yeah.
I'm sure when you have, like me with dog training, we have people that we see every single week. We've got people that will come back when it's too hot or cold, but we really fall in love with them and their animals. And I know for you, you don't get to see the people as much as I do, but
True.
of course, everyone, it's so easy to fall in love with a dog or a cat
Yeah.
or a bunny. So I'm
Yes.
sure that warms your
I've had
heart, but yeah.
I've had clients walk up to me at the grocery store. I meet them one time and they're like, "Hi," and I'm like, and then they'll say, "I'm Baxter's owner." I'm like, "Oh
Right.
yeah,
You're like, okay, now I know
I know the dog."
things.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "I definitely know your dog." That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, I know that's difficult too, especially out of context sometimes. Like I know
I
I'll
know.
be at like a restaurant and I'll look over and I'll see somebody and I'm like, okay, I know you.
I don't know
How do
how
I?
I know
Yo, that's
you.
right. Yeah, like because sometimes out of context you just see
Yeah.
somebody you're like familiar, but
I
where?
know.
But how?
Yeah, I
Right.
met you. I just, or you don't remember their name. A lot of times I remember dog names. I don't remember people names. I remember animal names. I'm like, oh yeah, Bella.
Right. Right. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Awesome. So, kind of moving on here. For I guess we kind of already covered this. We did have a question on like the structure kind of your business, and what different options you have. Um, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on with that? Do you feel like you kind of answered that? I know we've already talked about a lot.
Yeah. And so do you mean like the onboarding process or just like what we offer, pricing, that kind of thing?
That I don't know. It was
Okay.
just talking about like walking through kind of what options there are,
Yep.
for pet sitting and dog walking, and
Yeah. I will
so
say I haven't talked about pricing. I can throw it out there in case anyone interested. So our
yeah.
base price is it's gonna be different for dog walking and pet sitting. For pet sitting, per 30-minute visit, we start at $21 per visit, and that's for one pet. And then per small animal or cat, it's $1 extra per, and then per dog, it's $2 extra. So let's say you have a cat and a dog, it would be that actually we put the more expensive animal in the base price to make it cheaper for you. We try to be generous in that way. So it would actually only be $22 per visit for a cat and a dog. So, if you want to do longer visits, it's just $5 more for an extra 15 minutes. So 45-minute visit would be $5 more, and a 60-minute visit would only be $10 more. So, um, Our overnights are $80, and that's again from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And our midday dog walks, we try to give a bit of a break for them. We offer a discount. It starts at $21 for 2 dogs, so we include 2 dogs, and that's just kind of if you're sporadically booking us, kind of whenever you need us. But if you have any sort of recurring schedule, we take $1 off, so $20 per walk. And if you use us Monday through Friday or just 5 times a week, it's $19 per visit. So we try to give a benefit to those who are using us more often.
Yeah, that's
Obviously, we
really
love that.
helpful. Definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. Like I know that typically I use you guys on Mondays and Wednesdays kind
Mhm.
of every week, and that helps out even though I work from home primarily.
You're not
um
alone.
I
People
yeah
are
I
embarrassed when they sign up. They're like, I work from home. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this. Not at all.
Well,
Listen, you're
especially
still
as a dog trainer, somebody who's in the field, I don't think people realize that, when I'm home, 10 to 5, I'm working on the business, doing the admin stuff. And then, basically from like 5 o'clock, right when that bell rings, basically, I'm heading to the training center and preparing for classes and then teaching classes. And so, like, I'm go, go, go all day. And I just know that the half an hour that Amy can come over and like take Theo on his nice long walk, that's just such a lifesaver for me. And so, yeah,
And
I
it's a good
absolutely
change
get
of
it.
pace. I think to have people coming in, it's like your dog's best friend. That's kind of what that's what I
Mm-hmm.
tell people. I was like, we're your dog's friend. You're great, but we're your dog's friend. And so, the dogs really look forward to seeing like their buddy, it's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah. I
my
mean,
buddy's here.
even
We're gonna go.
Olive, who doesn't get walked, she looks from the balcony. She's like, "Oh, she's here. I saw her car pull in." And I know too from a training aspect, like, it was nice for me to kind of hear the feedback of like how Theo is doing on his walks, if it was a
Yeah,
good, if he was doing really well. It's nice to have another pair of eyes,
yeah,
because even though we're around our dogs all day, we might not notice, if we were distracted, that there might have been like a limp, or his gait is weird, or he was like really like just not attentive to the person, which he normally is. So it's nice to get like other eyes. Is he
yeah,
getting overweight? Is he losing a bunch of weight, or his ribs sticking out now? Like, these
yeah,
are things that we should be noticing as pet owners, but sometimes we don't because we're
yeah,
around them every day, and it just
yeah.
takes
Stop seeing
sometimes
it.
somebody else
Yeah,
pointing it out.
yeah, absolutely. Sort of like when your spouse is losing weight, you see them every day, you don't see them, and someone else comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, he's lost weight. And you're like, has he?
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah,
it's I feel like that. I feel like that a lot. Jumping over to our next question. And I do want to jump in the chat because I did see that some people commented. So, Kathy said hey to me. So, hey, Kathy, how's it going? Shout out to you and Teddy. And then Christy Power
hi
has
Christy.
has heart eyes, just two big heart eye emojis.
We
So,
love her
so
puppies,
yes,
love.
yes. Hi,
She used
Christy.
to, you know
So
her too, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, we work
yeah,
together at the
yeah.
SPCA, so I know Christy as well. So she's on here watching live. So shout out to you guys, of course. Hi.
And the puppies, mostly the
Oh,
puppies
yes,
though.
yes, and the puppies. We can't not include the puppies. Um, so we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but the next question that we had was, are there any pets that wouldn't benefit from like a pet sitter or a dog walker? And if so, what options would you recommend for their owners?
Yeah, sorry, I'm stepping on their question.
No, this is good. I like when you're like proactively answering stuff. That
Yeah.
makes the list so much easier.
Yeah. Again, I would say for one of the ones I actually forgot to mention, that we would be really good for puppies, is because a lot of puppies cannot get vaccinated until a certain age. And so they really need to use a pet sitter,
Yeah, a
because
lot of boarding places just plain won't take them. Or if
that's
they're
right.
not altered, if they
Yes,
are not
that
spayed or
too.
neutered, a lot of boarding
Yeah.
places won't take them.
Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely some circumstances where we're a better fit. I would say, again, for dogs who really are just, going to be destructive at the house, maybe it's not safe for them to be there, and just not stimulating enough. Every dog is going to be different. So I think the primarily, I would say dogs that are going to really thrive in a doggy daycare kind of situation. Just a straight up kennel, I would have a really hard time with. And, not all kennels are created equally. There are some, and I'm not going to name any names, but they're kind of big box type places where, they don't even take them outside to walk them. They make them pee inside on like a green, like turf area. Um,
Or I've
I
even
would
seen
not,
some where it was just plain cement, in other states I've
yes,
lived where they were just
yeah,
inside a big warehouse and they might have like a tiny door open with like a 5 foot by 5 foot, fake grass area, but it
yeah.
really wasn't doing it justice for the, 20, 30, 80 dogs that were there.
And there's a lot of doggy daycares that don't have outdoor space for them to go potty. And so they learn to potty indoors. And that worries me. Some dogs can probably compartmentalize and be like, I potty inside here, but I still potty outside at home. But I would worry that some might not be able to. But I digress. We're talking about who it wouldn't be a good fit for. There are definitely some cases where it would be a good fit. And I know a lot of people who just love their doggy daycare. Before I started doing this and didn't even know this was an option, I used a daycare place, and it was kind of hit and miss. We had some good experiences. We had some sort of not so good experiences. um like the cameras, a lot of them have cameras where watch what's going on. You can purchase a camera and watch your pet sitter too, though, and we encourage it. We don't mind. Accountability is a good thing, whatever makes clients feel comfortable. But I remember watching in on one of the cameras, and they had put my dog in like a area by herself. And all the other
Yeah.
dogs are playing in the and when I asked, they're like, yeah, we just didn't have enough people. They have like a ratio that they have to hit, and she was the unlucky dog that was off by herself kind of looking through, and I was like,
Like,
really?
hi guys, I exist. I'm
I
over
want to play
here.
too. I know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I know that I'm definitely the type of personality where I would probably be that person where my entire vacation I'm just like watching my
oh,
dog.
it was not good for me. It was not good for me. We were trying to, relax and enjoy our vacation. So I do it. I have a camera in my home, and I use my sitters. I should be clear about this. I use my own sitters, and I would use any of my sitters. And to me, if I wouldn't be willing to use them myself, I would absolutely not ask anyone else to be willing to
Right.
use them. So
Right. And I actually think
just
that's an
know that.
upcoming question too about like your staff and the
You
onboarding
asked that?
process for
Say that
staff.
again.
Oh, I was just saying that I think that actually might be a question that
Oh,
somebody had
perfect.
was like
Yeah. Um,
criteria for, being a
yes.
pet sitter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I absolutely use my sitters when I go out of town. And I have a camera, and I just have to like really be careful to just not use it, not look at it. And for me, it's just to peek in on them when I'm sort of like wondering about them, and they're all sleeping all the time anyway. So their lives are not that exciting. I think we envision that they're like doing all this stuff. They're sleeping. that's
Oh yeah.
that's sort of what
Oh
we're
yeah.
doing.
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
between visits, they're sleeping. But
Right.
yeah, so yeah, go ahead. What was the next question? Did I
Yeah, yeah. So, no, I think that that was perfect because, there's always going to be dogs, like you said, they're individuals. So
yeah,
there's going to be dogs that are just going to thrive in like a daycare setting, thrive in a daycare boarding place, and others that love their pet sitter and
uh,
can't get enough of the being home, being in that familiar environment, and
yes.
keeping their routine up. So,
And I will point out one other thing, and
mhm.
this might go into the next question that you were asking too. There are different types of pet sitters. So there are pet sitting companies that are just one person. And that is what they want to be forever, just that one person. They don't want any staff. They don't want any other
Right, they don't want to worry
people.
about
Yeah,
that. They just know they can trust themselves and they know
they're the
that
pet
they,
sitter.
yeah.
Yeah, and we are not that. So I will say for some clients, a better fit would be that solo person, just because their pet doesn't do well with any sort of change in people.
It might be
We try to
scary to
keep,
have a new person coming
yeah,
in.
yeah, we try to keep sitters as consistent as possible. And most of my clients will tell you, they develop a relationship with their sitter and they love their sitter. And if we're having another sitter come and they're not comfortable with it, we're happy to let them meet the sitter and let the pets meet the sitter. But there are some animals that even with a meeting, it's just like traumatic for them when a new person comes. And so for people like that, I would recommend using a solo operation where you know you're getting the same person every time. There are some downfalls with that too, because what if they get sick? What if they get hurt? What if they have car
What
trouble?
if they're already booked by somebody
That
else for that
too, you're
same
right.
time?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What if they're full on the holidays? And, a lot of these solo operations get booked 2 months out, 3 months out. And I don't, some people are great planners, some people are not. That wouldn't work for me. I don't always have my plans set in stone and, 3 months ahead, 4 months ahead. So,
And
yeah, I mean,
emergencies
there's
always
definitely,
happen
yeah.
too.
We are able to sort of, kind of go with the flow, and we can help. I am just trying to think the times that we've had to kind of say that we're not available. I can count it on two hands, I would say, in 9 years. So, we usually have
That's
the
wonderful.
availability to help. Even if it's not your primary sitter, if it's at the last minute, always ask. We're pretty flexible, so we try to do what we can.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like you said, there's going to be benefits, and downsides to each. But
Yeah.
it's nice too that, that I know that if my dog walker is sick, there's somebody else who could accommodate, and so that's wonderful, definitely. So moving on to the next question here. This question says that was it's talking about like Rover Dog Vacay, which I believe was bought out by Rover,
Mhm.
and WAG type services. So I'm sure you guys have all heard, those of you who are watching live and watching the recording, I'm sure you guys have all heard of, Rover and WAG and Doggy Vacay and all of that. This question is like, how does a professional business like your business, like Cuddles on Call, kind of differ from those websites? I would call them on demand websites, but I don't know if that's the technical term. But I've always viewed them as more of like on demand right now, like I
Mhm.
need somebody. How would your business kind of differ from that?
A lot. And I can kind of go through, there's so many ways, and I'm sure I'll miss some of them. I feel like every business has a place, right? There's definitely a place for those businesses, and there is a market for those businesses. Um, we are not going to always be as nimble as them. You could probably say, I need a walk in 10 minutes and maybe someone can show up. It's sort of like the Uber of pet care. Now, you might not get the person that you had got last time. You might be getting a different person every time. And that's the hard part for me. I will just go ahead and say that I wouldn't use any of those services personally, because I am a little bit more paranoid about who is coming into my home, who's caring for my
I'm right there
fur
with you.
babies. Yeah.
Right.
I want to have like met that person, know that person, or at least know the person behind that business. Rover is a bigger business. WAG is a bigger business. There is not one human that is behind that, like with my business. What I will say is, there are plenty of good pet sitters, even real companies like mine. There are plenty of good ones. There are plenty of bad ones. Just like with Rover, sometimes you'll hit the lottery and get a really great person, but sometimes you won't.
And you
And
might get
that's
a great person the first 5 or 6
yes,
times.
it just
And
takes
then
the
we've
one
all heard
time.
the horror stories of like
Yes.
the dog got stolen, the dog got loose and hit by a car, the house was
Yeah.
trashed, they threw a party.
Or they didn't come. That
Hmm.
I I,
I would
I
almost rather you like threw a party at my house versus didn't show up at my house at
yeah, if you
all,
took care of my
because
dogs
at
and
least
my
my
cat,
dogs might have gotten taken care of.
yeah. If I've heard of animals, they came back to like feces and urine, and they were like starved, and that, to me, that's unimaginable. The thing with this is, if you could decide today that you want to be a pet sitter, you could sign up for the service. They say they do a background check. I've not gone through it myself. If they do, it's very uh, basic.
I
Um,
will say I did when I first took over All Dogs Allowed because we were doing pet sitting. I
Yeah.
did sign up for Rover
Hmm.
for like as a pet sitter to see kind of what it was all about, see if maybe,
Yeah.
since they don't, at least when I did this back in like 2015, 2016, when I signed up, they didn't charge you anything. They only collected money if you were selected to be the pet
Yeah.
sitter. And I remember paying like $20 to do the background check, but I
Yeah.
remember like I paid it and like the moment like I clicked like pay, they were like, "Cool, you're on the website." So there wasn't necessarily any
It should take some
lag
time with the
between right,
background
and I
check
I didn't
back,
see that
a
if I'm
real one,
remembering correctly.
like, a national and statewide. So I don't, obviously I'm not privy to what they are doing behind the scenes. I've never been a rover sitter. I can just tell you what I know from what articles I've read, what publications have come out, what people have told me when they signed up to be a rover sitter. It's very quick. It's very easy. I think they do some very basic checks. Maybe you provide a couple names. They sometimes they call them, sometimes they don't. Um, that is very different than the process when bringing a sitter on with my company. I am like the Gestapo. Like I am going to find out every little thing about them that I can. I mean, I do everything that I can. I do a Google search. I'm trying to find out any little thing that could cause a problem for myself or my clients. And I'm doing what I would want someone to do if they were going to be a pet sitter for me, because again I'm particular about who I let in my house, and trust issues here. So for
Hmm.
me, I do several interviews, I do background checks. I have them fill out like thing after thing. I feel like I need I need them to be motivated to want to do this. I don't want it to be like they snap their fingers and now they're a pet sitter. I want them
Right,
to
like this is what I
prove
wanted to do
that they
on a
want to do it.
Friday, and
That
mhm.
yeah, I want it to be a passion. And I'm tough. I've had so many of my sitters say, I was not expecting an interview like that. It goes on an hour and a half a lot of times, sometimes longer, and I ask questions, and they're like, I just didn't expect all those, you made me nervous. I'm a super nice person, but I am tough on who I bring into my company. This is my baby. At the end of the day, if something goes wrong, it is on me. And that is the
Well,
difference between Rover and me, is that
right.
at Rover, they could have a terrible experience, but it's drowned out by, thousands of other users, right? With me, if there's a bad experience, I could lose everything. Um, it means a lot, it could
Oh,
ruin our entire
definitely.
reputation. So
And I think for you
I,
guys, just like with dog training, so many times people get into this business because they love animals. And I
yeah,
love that. I think that people should, of course, that should be like the main criteria that you enjoy animals, you enjoy working with animals, you have a passion for animals. But that's not enough.
yeah,
That shouldn't be the only thing on your resume that you grew up with animals or that you love animals, because this is a professional service. You
yeah,
need to know what to do in an emergency. You need to know how animals think and learn and do, and like, you know, things about like
yeah,
feeding and medication. And there's so much more than just I love animals and
right.
I feel like Dr. Doolittle, but I don't want to be a veterinarian, so I'm going to go this route. I don't think people quite understand that it's so much more than that at first.
And I didn't even touch on the onboarding process. I go over a lot of dog body language, cat body language, behavior stuff to be looking out for. And I do not sugarcoat it to pet sitters. A lot of pet sitters think it's just going to be playing with puppies and playing with kitties all day. And it's not. It can be tough work. It's very physical. Sometimes dogs are having a bad day, and you have to be patient. If you want to work with animals, patience is a key. Loving animals is one thing, but you really have to have some grit, when it's 90 degrees outside
And you're walking a
or
90-pound
95.
dog who's
And the
just,
last thing you want to do is get out there and walk another dog. You have to be able to do it. And so, I run these people through a lot more than just, do you like dogs? Do you like cats? Great, you're hired. I want to make sure that they're going to stick around. They're going to do a really good job. And I'm looking, I tell people you can teach someone almost anything, but you can't change who they are. You can't change their base personality, right? Like you can't change whether or not they're trustworthy or whether or not they're conscientious or whether or not they're
Right, whether or not
thorough.
they check twice,
Yeah.
always to make sure that that
Yeah.
door is locked, that kennel is
Mhm.
locked, the dogs
Yep.
are separated, whatever needs to
Yes.
happen is happening. Because
Yes.
it's,
So,
I think it's hard for you. There's a lot of similarities with training because you're trusting people to do a independent job. You're trusting that
yeah.
the training that you have given them
Yeah.
is going to stick when you're not around to
Yes.
watch them and see them,
Yes.
because it really is this.
It's a trust business.
Right,
It's all
right.
about
For
trust.
for everyone involved. Mm-hmm.
It's all about trust. Yeah. It's about me trusting them and the clients trusting us. And so it's all about finding the right people and good people. And, again, on Rover, you might strike gold. You might get lucky. You might hit the lottery. But with my company, I feel like you're trusting me, and I am doing the work for you. I'm going to do that hard work for you to make sure you're getting a good person.
That's
Um,
awesome. And I think, oh gosh, I hope I'm not wrong about this, but I know that when I first like hired you, hired Cuddles on Call to be like my dog walker, you guys had something crazy like over 100 reviews or over 50 reviews, and they were all 5 star on like
Al Five
every
Star. I'm so
platform.
proud of that.
Like,
And let's
yes,
knock
like, I
on
mean,
wood.
Facebook, Google, Yelp, like everything was 5 star.
Mhm.
And to be in business for as long as you've been in business and haven't had any, like, not even just 1 star, not even just the knee jerk reaction of people saying, I hate you,
Yeah,
1 star, but even me, like, I know that like 4 stars, 3 stars, and 2 stars,
those
those
hurt.
happen too. And those are, and a lot of
Yeah,
times, those are people that really think a lot harder about like what they thought about, your business and what you offer. And so to have like only 5 stars, that just spoke volumes to me when I
yeah.
was looking. And so,
I'm very
mhm,
proud of that. We try to keep, I want everyone to be happy with the service. And if they're not, I want them to tell me. And any client who's ever come to me can tell you, like, I take it seriously. We are going to take steps to make sure that is never an issue again and that they are happy going forward. I don't take it lightly.
that's
Again, this
wonderful.
is my baby.
Right.
So, um,
Right. Well, and,
you
and
know,
that feedback I think is always important. You always want to know what you're
oh,
doing
yes.
right, what you're not
Oh, yeah.
doing right. You can't know everything. So
And if they don't
that's
tell me,
good.
I can't address it. And so I am very happy to
Exactly.
hear from my clients. So I think that that's part of it is, you're investing in the person who is managing all this, because if they're not managing it well, things are slipping through the cracks. And, I think that's what you get a bit more with Rover, because there's not anybody sort of managing everything, making sure
Right. There's
that
no like
things are,
accountability
there's no
necessarily.
accountability. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other beautiful thing about working with a company like Cuddles on Call is you're shopping local. You're giving business to a
Definitely.
local business who is a real person in your community, and not a larger business who's taking a big chunk of that money, um, and don't care. They don't care if you're happy or not. Um, yeah. So
Right, right, definitely. So, if you want to go more in depth with this, you definitely can. Because I don't think we've necessarily touched on this. I know that we're kind of getting up there to kind of the 45, 50 minute mark here. But what criteria should pet owners be using when they select like a pet sitter or a dog walker?
yeah.
Um, what would you say are kind of some helpful tips, questions to ask,
Yeah.
things to look at, maybe keywords on their website to avoid or to praise and really look in more depth? Yeah, what would just be kind of your overall, like if I were your mom and I lived in Maryland,
Yeah.
what would you give me for advice?
Yeah, the absolute first thing I want you to look for is that they're insured and bonded. Because if they are not, you are taking a risk. There is no recourse if something goes terribly wrong. People are human and maybe they're even great people, but if something goes wrong, you have no recourse. I would look first thing I would look for, insured and bonded. I think the second thing I would look for are kind of qualifications, reviews. I would absolutely be looking at reviews. Um, I would be looking for kind of their online voice, maybe just to know a little bit more about them. If there's just like this kind of shabby website that doesn't say a whole lot, they might have just started yesterday. I kind of want to see that they've been around for a little while. Now, that's not saying, you shouldn't take a chance on new businesses. A lot of people took chances on me, and I am grateful. I would that they were willing to meet with me. They were willing to meet with my dog, and for free. I would want that to be free. A lot of people charge, and I completely understand why. I completely understand why. But for me, I would want to be able to meet them without recourse. That's going to be controversial. So I'm sorry to all the companies that that charge for
I mean,
meetings.
that's okay. I mean, we all have opinions and we all have
Yeah.
ways that we run our businesses. And yeah,
Yeah. For
no, I
me, it's
get
important
that.
that it be free. I want them to meet with us and feel comfortable with us before we kind of, because, I mean, even beyond just, having a good business, people don't always fit with other people. I might send a sitter that maybe it wasn't as warm and fuzzy as this other sitter, or maybe that she looks like someone you knew in high school, who knows, right? Or maybe your dog, for whatever reason, not every dog loves every person. And I will say there are, like very few, but there's been a few dogs that just didn't take to me right away. And
Oh,
I know
same
about
here.
dogs.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would say 98% of dogs like me, but
Yep.
I've met some dogs who were just, who are you?
Yeah.
I'm not going near
Yeah.
you.
And so I think, you want to look for that compatibility with your dog and that person. That would be important to me. I think that's most of what I mean. To me, it's also important that they be first aid trained. Our sitters are first aid and CPR trained for pets.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would just want to make sure there's some accountability there. That if you're looking for a solo sitter, I would want to make sure that they have a backup plan if something were to happen to them. A lot of solo sitters have another company that they kind of coordinate with that will help each other out. I would just want to make sure that they had a backup plan if something were to happen to said sitter, because again, my fur babies are my children. I don't have children; these are my children, and so
Oh, same
they're
here.
to me. So I approach that as a client in the same way I would want my clients to have that peace of mind too, and to I would want to talk to somebody. That's also me. I would want to talk to somebody and make sure there was a human I could talk to that could hold my hand if needed, or
Right.
just yeah. Those
So
are
kind of what it boils down to, for high notes would be like bonded and insured.
mhm,
Look at kind of like their resume, their social presence, their online presence, their reviews, and
mhm.
then really do that interview and get a feel for that person and make sure that they're the right fit. You feel
Ask
butterflies
questions.
versus like
Yeah,
a pit in
ask
your stomach.
questions.
Hmm.
Make sure that they can answer your questions. Yeah, I mean,
Right, that they have a plan,
yeah.
and I think to me, I like I won't say when or where or what state, I was in, but I remember interviewing a pet sitting business and I asked them, what they would do if they, say they showed up at my house and for some reason like my dog wouldn't let them in. She
Mm,
loved everybody, but I don't know, what if some stranger came to my house and the answer was like, "Oh, well, I mean that's never happened." And I was like, "Okay, but rephrasing, like if you showed up to my house and my dog wouldn't let you in because my dog was loose,
yeah,
in the house she wasn't crated, and I said, if she wouldn't let you in,
what's your,
what is the policy, what is the protocol,
are you
and
just gonna walk away?
again they were just like, well, I mean that's never happened, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
but that tells me that there is no plan. Like,
yeah,
what is your plan? Even if it's never happened, I want to know what your plan is because
mhm,
I'm a worry wart, and so I
yeah,
am that person asking all those
yeah.
weird, just off the wall crazy questions.
And that's part of the beauty of us having been in business this long is if You can dream it. It's probably happened. So I have a plan for that. Like Elizabeth Warren, I have a plan for that. I will say, I've walked into some crazy situations. We had a dog that was kind of walking around and was counter surfing and turned on the stove, and they had their mail on the stove, and I walked into smoke. I mean, being a pet sitter, you're going into people's homes. We've seen it all.
Hey, never
We've
know. Yeah,
experienced dogs that wouldn't let us in the house, so we have a plan. I mean, whatever it is, and I go over these things
it's
with my
good.
sitter.
Right, it's good.
Yeah.
You can tell people about that. You can answer those questions that are sent over. And I think at the end of the day, you got to go with who you're comfortable with.
Yes.
And also check those balances, CPR, first aid certified, trained, I should say. Um, the checks and balances for insurances and bonds and things like that. Definitely, definitely. Last couple of questions here. So one is like, what is your favorite and least favorite part of the job? And then we've got one more question after that.
Okay.
And
I will try to be
I
quick.
that's okay. I feel bad. I feel like I've been kidnapping your like entire,
No, this
date
has been
night,
fun. This
Friday
has been
night.
really fun. I mean that.
Quarantine date night. Yep.
So
But yeah,
let's
so
see.
favorite and least favorites.
Okay, so I think these are going to go hand in hand. I'll start with one of my least favorite. I mean, obviously, the obvious is when a pet passes. That is devastating.
Yeah, I
I
hadn't even thought of that either. I mean, yeah, we
I
experienced that training
I
too.
have clients that I still think about today. I was going through my computer, cleaning out photos, and there was, there are dogs and cats that are just like always going to be with me in my heart. And when they pass, it felt like my pet passed, and I still think about them, and I still get sad. I'm gonna cry. I still get sad. What, because I miss them, and it's like an extended family of pets. Like, these are all my pets, and I don't get to do as many visits anymore, but I know my sitters feel the same way. When, like, and some are just super super special too, and like when they pass, it's just really really hard because it's like, and we have so many clients that it just feels like it happens way too often. And it's just, it's hard. We grieve with the family, but that's the beautiful thing too, is that we're able to create these bonds with these animals that, like, we can all grieve together,
Hmm.
that we got to share in that pet's life too, and the, like, amazing energy that they brought.
Well, like you
Anyways,
said, it's
that's
like you've got your
much.
own cats and dogs, but then you have like another
Yeah,
150 cats and dogs
that's
that are
right.
part of like your extended family.
Yeah, no, that's right. And you have all these memories, and yeah, no, and I have about a million pictures on my phone of like people's pets. It's like all pets. But I would say, so that least, I would say some of the other hard things that I've dealt with would be animals that, especially cats, that are just super shy and like terrified, when we come for our visits. And I have, stories. I had a dog that was so terrified of me, and she's my best friend now. But I think the worst part is when they're just scared, and I want
And you
to
don't,
tell
you,
them.
right.
I
And
can't. I want to
you
tell
feel so
them, like,
helpless.
I love you. I just want to pet you. Like, please, no. And
Right.
and
I'm
it's
not
really
Freddy
hard.
Krueger. I'm not going to get you with like
I
my nails
know.
or anything.
So
Right.
that's one of the hardest things, but it's also one of the best things, because when we get that breakthrough and that moment that they just come out, or they like start licking us, and I mean, I've cried before. Like, it's been like, oh my god, yes. And it's usually
Right.
like a light switch.
And it's that weird moment where you're like, oh gosh, am I on camera just crying
I
on the
know,
living
I
room rug
know.
like a weirdo? Like,
But honestly, those are the that's the best feeling. And and my sitters and I will like share these moments. They're like, oh my god, so and so came out for me, and I'm like, yes. And that is the best feeling, because that, like, you had to earn that trust.
oh yeah.
I remember, and I was telling you, this dog that was just terrified of me. At the consultation, she was fine. She was like licking me, and I was like, awesome. And I showed up for the visit, and she was just barking, and I did everything I could. I turned sideways. I didn't look directly at her. Was like tossing treats, was doing all the things, and she just would not let me come near her. I laid in the floor for an hour, just like letting her sniff, like getting used to my smell. And I was like, it's never going to get better. And then it just snapped. And she was just like, I love you.
Right, I trust you now, and that's such a
Yeah,
warm feeling.
it was
Oh
so
yeah.
gratifying. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh,
That's gonna be, like you said, that's gonna be such a great, like you said, heartbreaking at first, but then when it happens, like there's no better feeling in the world than having an animal that was so scared of you say, "Hey, wait a minute, you know what? You can come into this inner circle and you can be a part of
I
my
feel
life."
I feel grateful and special. Like I feel like I've earned that, like not everybody this cat, when they say like nobody's that she the cat's never come out for anybody before. Like I'm like, yes. I am special. This cat I I think of myself as the cat whisperer. I have 6 cats and 2 dogs. And I have never had a cat not come out for me. Even the ones that they're like they've never come out for anyone. I have at least gotten to pet them, and it's just like it's an amazing feeling.
Oh,
Love it.
definitely, definitely. Oh, that's awesome. That's
Just
awesome.
and quickly, I would say the other best thing is when client and I've we get this a lot, and it makes me so happy when they say you brought me so much peace to know that I could just enjoy my vacation. Like I've never had that
Yes.
before. I've always felt so worried and like, but I could just relax, and I try like it was just I could trusted you guys, and I knew that you had it under control, and that is such a good feeling. That's why we do this, to give other people that peace to just go away and feel
Right.
free. It's okay.
Enjoy your time
Yes.
away. I mean, I know even just on a smaller note, when Theo goes on his walks, I'm not at the window like watching, like where
Yes.
are they? What are they doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like I fully trust her and I trust her decisions and I know she's going to keep him safe. And I mean, Theo knows like if you ask him if he wants to scoop, he'll jump right up in your arms. So I know she could physically, pick him up and get him out of harm's way
So cute.
very easily. But, I'm not worried. It's like, they leave and next thing I know they're back and I'm like, "Oh, that was fast" because I was so in my
Yeah.
work and in the zone that there was no second thought there.
And I
And
love
so
hearing that. I
that's
love
yeah,
hearing.
that's
Yeah.
such a good feeling to know that you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
You don't have to check in. You don't
Yeah.
have to yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Well, the last question on here was just something that I added. It was just, is there anything else that you feel like sharing that you feel like we didn't hit on in this kind of slice of the pet industry?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the thing that I kind of want to get out there that we haven't had a chance to discuss is kind of how we're pivoting with everything that's going on, this COVID craziness.
Oh, right.
Um, it's obviously hit us really hard. I imagine it's hit you hard too. It's harder to do anything. People just aren't traveling. People are working from home. So it's, a lot of people who were getting out
Right. I
are
think people
not.
forget that your business, a chunk of your business, maybe not everything, but a chunk of your business is dependent on people not being
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
which sounds weird, like you're like
Yeah.
some sort of like, masked robber or something, but
Right.
your business part of it is reliant on people traveling and seeing
Yeah.
family and going to Vegas and,
Yes.
Mhm.
Places that they just cannot go right now. And, obviously we hope that there'll be a time soon where people can safely travel again and can safely go to work again, and that we can, pick back up because we really miss our fur baby friends. We do, we do, we do. I'm telling you. My sitters are, I just miss, can like, can I just come by and say hi? And,
I know that's me. I feel
miss
weird just like
them.
reaching out to clients and being like, "Hey, can I just check in? Like, can you want to do a Zoom
Are they
call
doing
and like I can
okay?
just see your
I just
dog?"
wonder about them. How's Fluffy? I just wonder. But for us, we've had to pivot. It's harder, like we do that in-home meeting, and you really can't be face to face with someone right now. Like it's not safe. Thankfully, most of our work is done when people are not there, so there's not a lot of like being face to face with another human. Um, but of course, people aren't traveling right now. But we have been taking steps to make it easier to kind of ease back in. We are open for business. I want people to know that. Right now, we're doing dog walks for essential people. People, if you're essential, we can absolutely still walk your dog, and we would love to because we appreciate what you're doing. Um, and pretty soon, we hope that we can be dog walking for others too. We are, you know, keeping ourselves safe. We're wearing masks. We're sanitizing our hands between clients. We're doing everything that we can not to cause any sort of cross contamination or any risk to our clients or our sitters. um, we're being super, super careful. Anytime, we take on a new client, we do a Zoom consultation. It's totally new for us, but we we can do a Zoom consultation where they show us where everything is, and then I can have my sitter come by later just and do an outside meeting, or just so you can sort of see each other, but you're not enclosed in a space with someone. I want your dog to feel comfortable or sit with our sitter. I want you to feel comfortable, but I don't want to pose any sort of risk for anybody too. So we're adapting. We are adapting. And hopefully soon at least local travel will open up. People can go to the mountains or they can go to the beach. And we are here for them. We are ready to get back at it. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's been tough, but
Exactly.
we'll be here, and support small businesses, not just us, but I want to encourage everybody to support small businesses because we're the backbone of your local economy. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, we can play it safe, get through these phases, make sure that we're doing things correctly and compassionately and, slowly as slow as we can. And we'll have that return to normalcy soon. So, well, I want to thank you, of course,
Thank you.
for jumping on here with me tonight and kind of, like I said, kind of taking up a lot of your Friday evening to kind of put this together and get rocking and rolling, work through any technological hiccups, which tonight was really easy. I think we just
Oh
had
yeah.
that one hiccup of me not knowing what I was doing, and trying to get you in here and everything. But I think that I I'm I feel like I even learned some stuff that I didn't know kind of
Oh
about the pet
good.
sitting industry and things that I hadn't thought of before. And I think that's helpful for me to be able to really help direct anyone who asks me about pet sitting, that I feel
Yeah.
like I've got more information. Hopefully those of you guys who are watching live, you feel like you know a little bit more about this industry and are feeling empowered to kind of make the selections for your animals that you might need to make because of travel or returning to work or things like that. So thanks again, April.
Thank you. Can
Um,
you give out my website, or I don't know if you provided it, or
well, what we could do is,
yeah.
again, yeah, April's business is Cuddles on Call. The URL is www.cuddlesoncallnc, like
Mhm.
North Carolina, .com.
Yep.
And I will add that to the broadcast chat
Yay.
afterwards as well. So that way people can get in touch with you whenever they need to get in touch with you. So
Yeah, this has been a pleasure, Megan.
yes.
We're friends. We should tell people we're friends, and I
Mm.
haven't seen you in forever, and
Oh, I
so
know.
yeah.
I know. I
So good to
know.
talk to you.
Yes, yes. It's so nice. I didn't want to like again kidnap like your entire night and like do catching
We'll
up on
just
the
zoom
the
after.
Facebook
Yeah.
Live, but yeah, definitely at some point. So very cool. Well, then I'm just gonna check the chat real quick just to make sure I don't see any extra like questions or comments or anything like that. So again, thank you so much for jumping on with us, and those of you who watch live, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I feel, I always feel, I don't know, like justified, like we're doing something that you guys care about during this time. And so, I just want to make sure I didn't like close out of something. Perfect,
No,
awesome. Well then, okay, well then take care, April.
thank
I
you.
hope that you have a fantastic, rest of your night. And everyone watching, please again stay safe, stay sane, and I will see you next week with our next Q&A interview. So take care.
Bye, guys.